Welcome to Bloomsday. We have a story to tell you tonight. Several stories, in fact, for James Joyce's Ulysses is a novel filled with stories. Not the least is the classic poem on which it is based and whose hero, Ulysses, provides its title. Though, as you will see, the allusion to the Greek hero is perhaps more comic than epic. Through our storyteller, we will give you some of the connective tissue of the storylines we're following and identify some of the allusions to the Odyssey. The scene titles the storyteller refers to are the chapters in the Odyssey on which that scene is loosely based. The storyteller's words, and these, of course, are the only words that don't come directly from Ulysses. All other narration comes straight from Joyce's novel. Our excerpted version runs about 2 hours, so relax, get yourself comfortable, and come along with us as we do our best to bring Joyce's words to life. And now, we present Bloomsday in Brattleboro, our celebration of James Joyce's Ulysses.
Telemachus. Bloomsday begins. It is early morning, June 16th, 1904. It took the hero of Homer's Ulysses more than 10 years to make his trip home from the Trojan War. Joyce's tale follows our Ulysses, Mr. Leopold Bloom, and his fellow Dubliners on a single day's journey. We first encounter not Bloom himself, but a young writer, Stephen Dedalus. Like Joyce himself at Stephen's age, Stephen is struggling to make his mark in the lively Dublin literary world without impressive success. He has recently returned from Paris to come to his mother's deathbed. He arrived in time to see her before she died, but because he has renounced Christianity, he refuses to kneel and pray for her soul. On June 16th, Stephen rises from sleep and looks up to see his housemate, medical student Buck Mulligan, standing above him inside the Martello Tower where they live. Structures like these once housed military troops to protect the Irish coastline. In the early 1900s, the towers were rented to those who needed cheap, sparse lodgings. Stephen's equivalent in Homer's poem is Telemachus, the young son of Ulysses, who waits anxiously, alone by the seaside, praying to Minerva for his father's safe return from the Trojan Wars. Stephen's own father, Simon Dedalus, drinks heavily and neglects his children.
Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him on the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned,
Introibo ad altere Dei. Come up, Kench! Come up, you fearful Jesuit!
Solemnly, Mulligan came forward and mounted the round gun rest. He faced about and blessed gravely thrice the power, the surrounding land, and the awakening mountains. Then, catching sight of Stephen Dedalus, he bent towards him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Dedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him.
Back to barracks! For this so dearly beloved is the genuine Christine, body and soul and blood and uns. Slow music, please. Shut your eyes, gents. One moment, a little trouble about those white corpuscles. Silence all.
He skipped off the gun rest and looked gravely at his watcher, gathering about his legs the loose folds of his gown. The plump, shadowed face and sullen, oval jowl recalled a prelate, patron of the arts in the Middle Ages.
The mockery of it. Your absurd name in ancient Greek.
Stephen Dedalus stepped up followed him wearily halfway and sat down, watching him still as he propped his mirror.
My name is absurd too. Malachi Mulligan. 2 dactyls. But it has a Hellenic ring, hasn't it? Tripping and sunny, like the buck himself. We must go to Athens. Will you come if I can get the aunt to fork out 20 quid?
Stephen does not respond. A few moments later, they walk away from the tower along Sandy Cove Beach.
What is it? Cough it up. I'm quite frank with you. What have you against me now?
They halted, looking towards the blunt cape of Bray Head that lay on the water, like the snout of a sleeping whale. Stephen freed his arm quietly.
Do you wish me to tell you?
Yes, what is it? I don't remember anything.
He looked in Stephen's face as he spoke. A light wind passed his brow, fanning softly his fair, uncombed hair, and stirring silver points of anxiety in his eyes. Stephen, depressed by his own voice, said,
Do you remember that first day I went to your house after my mother's death?
What? Where? I can't remember anything. I remember only ideas and sensations. Why? What happened in the name of God?
Well, you were making tea, and I went across the landing to get more hot water. Your mother and some visitor came out of the drawing room, and she asked you who was in your room.
Yes? What did I say? I forget.
You said, oh, it's only Daedalus, whose mother is beastly dead.
Did I say that? Well, what harm is that? And what is death? Your mother's or yours or my own? You saw only your mother die. I see them pop off every day in the Mater and Richmond and cut up into tripes in the dissecting room. It's a beastly thing and nothing else. It simply doesn't matter. You wouldn't kneel down to pray for your mother on her deathbed when she asked you. Why? Because you have the cursed Jesuit strain in you, only it's injected the wrong way. To me, it's all a mockery and beastly. Her cerebral lobes are not functioning. Humor her till it's over. You cross her last wish in death, and yet you sulk with me because I don't whinge like some hired mute from Lalouette's. Absurd. I suppose I did see it. Didn't remember the memory of your mother.
Stephen, shielding the gaping wounds which the words had left in his heart, said very coldly,
I am not thinking about the offense to me mother.
Of what, then?
Of the offense to me.
Oh, an impossible person.
Stephen walks alone along Sandy Cove Beach.
a cloud begins to cover the sun slowly, wholly, shadowing the bay in deeper green. It lays beneath him, a bowl of bitter waters.
Her door was open. She wanted to hear my music. Silent with awe and pity, I went to her bedside. She was crying in her wretched bed for those words, Stephen, love's bitter mystery. Where now? Her secrets, old feather fans, tasseled dance cards powdered with musk, a gaud of amber beads in her locked drawer, a birdcage hung in the sunny window of her house when she was a girl. She heard old Royce sing in the pantomime a Turco the Terrible and laughed with the others when he sang, I am the boy that can enjoy visibility.
Phantasmal, folded away, musk perfumed, folded away in the memory of nature with her toys. Memories beset his brooding brain. Her glass of water from the kitchen tap when she had approached the sacrament. A cored apple filled with brown sugar, roasting for her at the hob on a dark autumn evening. Her shapely fingernails reddened by the blood of squashed lice from the children's shirts. In a dream, silently, she had come to him, her wasted body within its loose grave clothes, giving off an odor of wax and rosewood. Her breath bent over him with mute, secret words, a faint odor of wetted ashes.
Her glazing eyes staring at a death to shake and bend my soul on me alone. the ghost candle to light her agony, ghostly light on that tortured face. Her hoarse, loud breath rattling in horror while all prayed on their knees, and her eyes to strike me down. That fool, pure corpses. Oh, mother, let me be, let me live. Ineluctable modality of the visible. At least that is no more. Thought through my eyes. Signatures of all things that I'm here to read. Sea spawn and sea rat. The nearer the tide, that rusty boot. Snot green, blue silver, rust, coloured signs. If you can put your 5 fingers through it, it's a gate. If not, a door. Now, shut your eyes and see.
As Stephen walked on the beach, he closed his eyes to hear his boots crush crackling wrack and shells.
You are walking through it, howsoever. I am, a stride at a time, a very short space of time through very short times of space. That is the ineluctable modality of the audible. And open your eyes. No. Jesus, if I fell over a cliff that beetles o'er his base, fell through the Nebenine and in I'm getting along nicely in the park. My ash sword hangs at my side. Well, tap, what did they do? Sounds solid. Am I walking into eternity along Sandymount Strand? Crush, crack, crick, crick, wild Seamoy. Out you come to Sandymount, Madeline de Mare. Rhythm begins, you see. Oh, I hear a catalectic pentameter of ions marching. No, a gallop. Open your eyes now. I will. One moment. Has all vanished since? If I open and am forever in the black a diaphania, basta, I will see if I can see. See now? It's there all the time. Now, never shall be. World without end.
Calypso. Early morning continues. We enter the world of Leopold and Molly Bloom. Leopold Bloom's wife, Molly, lies in bed while he makes breakfast. Is she Calypso, the nymph goddess, who so enraptured Ulysses that he spent 7 years in her embrace before he even got started coming home?
Mr. Leopold Bloom ate with relish the inner organs of beasts and fowls. He liked thick giblet soup and nutty gizzards, a stuffed roast heart, liver slices fried with crust crumbs, fried hen cocks roes, and most of all, he liked grilled mutton kidneys, which gave to his palate a tang of faintly scented urine. Kidneys were in his mind as he moved about the kitchen softly, writing her breakfast things on the humpy tray. Gelid light and air were in the kitchen, but out of doors, gentle summer morning everywhere. Made him feel a bit peckish.
Another slice of bread and butter. 3, 4, right. She didn't like her plate full. Right.
He turned from the tray, lifted the kettle off the hob, and set it sideways on the fire. It sat there dull and squat. Its spout stuck out.
Cup of tea soon. Good. Mouth dry.
Meow.
Ah, here you are. Just how she stalks over my writing table. Purr, scratch my head. Purr, milk for the pussins. They call them stupid. They understand what We say better than we understand them. She understands all she wants to. Vindictive, too. Cruel. Her nature. Curious mice never squeal. Seem to like it. Wonder what I look like to her. Height of a tower? No, she can jump with me. Afraid of the chickens, is she? Afraid of the choop-choops? I never saw such a stupid pussin as the pussins.
On quietly creaking boots, he went up the staircase to the hall, paused by the bedroom door.
I'm going round the corner. Be back in a minute.
No, she didn't want anything. He heard then a warm, heavy sigh, softer as she turned over and the loose brass quoits of the bedstead jingled.
Must get those loose quoits settled, really. Pity. All the way from Gibraltar. Got any little Spanish.
Lord Deceitors, constantly thwarted in his voyage home, Homer's Ulysses alights on an island of people who eat lotus flowers and fall into a deep trance. Despite Ulysses' warning, his crew eats the lotus flowers and forget their voyage home. Is Bloom, too, intoxicated by desires that divert him from thoughts of home? He has placed an ad as Henry Flower in the Irish Times, soliciting smart lady typists to aid gentlemen in literary work, and has acquired a correspondent who calls herself Miss Martha Clifford. As he walks around Dublin, Bloom goes to the post office to see if she has answered his latest letter.
By lorries along Sir John Rogerson's quay, Mr. Bloom walked soberly past Windmill Lane, Leske's the linseed crusher, the postal telegraph office. From the curbstone, he darted a keen glance through the door of the post office.
Too late, boss. No one in. Are there any letters for me? No answer, probably.
The postmistress handed him back through the grill a letter. He thanked her and glanced rapidly at the typed envelope.
Henry Flower, Esquire, care of Post Office, Westland Row, City.
Answered anyhow. Something pinned up. Photographs? Hair? No. A yellow flower with flattened petals. Not annoyed then. What does she say?
Dear Henry, I got your last letter to me and thank you very much for it. I'm sorry you did not like my last letter. Why did you enclose the stamps? I'm awfully angry with you. I do wish that I could punish you for that. I called you naughty boy because I do not like that other word. Please tell me, what is the real meaning of that word? Are you not happy in your home, you poor little naughty boy? I do wish I could do something for you. Please tell me what you think of poor me. I often think of the beautiful name you have. Oh, dear Henry, when will we meet? I think of you so often, you have no idea. I've never felt myself so drawn to a man as you. I feel so bad about that. Please write me a long letter and tell me more. Remember, if you do not, I will punish you. So now you know what I will do to you, you naughty boy, if you do not write. Oh, how I long to meet you, Henry dear. Do not deny my request before my patience are exhausted. Then I will tell you all. Goodbye now, naughty darling. I have such a bad headache today, and write by return to your longing, Martha. Oh, do tell me, what kind of perfume does your wife use? I want to know.
He tore the flower gravely from its pinhold, smelt its almost no smell, and placed it in his heart pocket.
Language of flowers.
Hades. As Homer's hero, must cross 4 rivers to reach Hades, the land of the dead. Bloom and his fellow mourners enter carriages and cross 4 rivers to bring them to Daddy Dignam's burial rites in Glasnevin Cemetery.
Martin Cunningham first poked his silk-hatted head into the creaking carriage and, entering deftly, seated himself. Mr. Lenehan stepped in after him, curving his height with care.
Come on, Simon. Are we all here now?
Come along, Bloom.
Mr. Bloom entered and sat in the vacant place. He pulled the door to after him. He looked seriously from the open carriage window at the lowered blinds of the avenue, one dragged aside.
An old woman peeping, nose white flattened against the pane, thanking her stars she was passed over. Extraordinary the interest they take in a corpse. Glad to see us go. We give them so much trouble coming. Never know who'll touch you dead. Wash and shampoo. I believe they clip the nails and the hair. Keep a bit in an envelope. Grows all the same after. Unclean job.
As they make their way to the cemetery, one of the men in the carriage with Bloom has spoken an incident of a man jumping into the Liffey River. Martin Cunningham reproaches him. He whispers, though surely Bloom must hear, in the crowded carriage.
I was in mortal agony with you talking of suicide before Bloom.
What? How so?
His father poisoned himself at the Queen's Hotel at Innis.
Oh, God. First I heard of it. Poisoned himself.
Bloom asks if the family of the deceased will be able to survive without Dignam's earnings.
Was he insured?
I believe so, but the policy was heavily mortgaged. Martin is trying to get the youngster into Artane.
How many children did he leave?
5. Ned Lambert says he'll try to get one of the girls into Todd's.
A sad case. 5 young children?
A great blow to the poor wife.
Indeed, yes.
Aeolus. Later that morning, Bloom earns his living selling newspaper advertisements. Just as the winds blow homeless Ulysses' barn home and then away from it, Bloom is blown about Dublin plying his trade.
We see the canvasser at work. Mr. Bloom laid his cutting on Mr. Nanetti's desk.
Excuse me, counselor. This ad, you see, keys. You remember? Keys, you see? He wants 2 keys at the top.
Nanetti, the foreman, turned round to hear patiently and began to scratch slowly in the armpit of his alpaca jacket.
House of Keys.
Like that, see? 2 crossed keys here, then here the name, Alexander Keys, tea, wine, and spirit merchant. Better not teach him his own business. You know yourself, counselor, the House of Keys, you see, catches the eye. You see, can you do that?
We can do that. Let him give us a 3-month renewal.
But Mr. Keyes says no to the renewal, and Bloom makes no progress. Meanwhile, the Gold Club horse race is slated for that afternoon, and all try to pick the winning entry.
Spot the winner.
Who wants a dead cert for the Gold Cup? Scepter with old Madden up.
Lestrygonians. It is now 1 p.m. Time for eating. In the Odyssey, Ulysses alights on the island of the Lestrygonians. Unfortunately for Ulysses and his crew, the Lestrygonians are cannibals, and most of the crew become their feast. As Bloom walks, he spies a little girl eating candies.
Pineapple rock, lemon plat, butterscotch. sugar-sticky girl shoveling scoopfuls of creams for a Christian brother. Some school treat. Bad for their tummies. Lozenge and comfort manufacturer of His Majesty the King. God save our sitting on his throne, sucking red juju's white.
A somber YMC. A young man placed a throwaway in the hand of Mr. Bloom. Bloom's slow feet walked him riverward, reading.
Throwaway, are you saved? All are washed in the blood of the Lamb. God wants blood victim. Birth, hymen, martyr, war, foundation of a building, sacrifice, kidney, burnt offering, Druid's altar. Elijah is coming.
From Butler's Monument House corner, he glanced along Bachelor's Walk, Duke Street.
Here we are. Must eat. The Burton. Feel better then.
He pushed in the door.
Pungent meat juice, slush of greens, see the animals feed. Men, men, men.
Perched on high stools by the bar, hats shoved back. At the tables, calling for more bread, no charge. Swilling, wolfing gobfuls of sloppy food, their eyes bulging, wiping wetted mustaches. A pallid, suet-faced young man polished his tumbler, knife, fork, and spoon with his napkin.
New set of microbes, no teeth to chew it. Chomp chop from the grill, bolting to get it over. Sad boozer's eyes. Am I like that? See ourselves as others see us. Smells of men, spat on sawdust, Swedish, warmish cigarette smoke, reek of plug, spilt beer, men's beery piss, the stale of ferment. Couldn't eat a morsel here. Get a light snack at Davy Burns. Stopgap. Keep on going. Had a good breakfast. Every fellow for his own, tooth and nail. Go, grub, go, gob stuff.
He came out into clearer air and turned back towards Grafton Street.
Eat or be eaten. Kill, kill.
As Bloom walks on, he thinks of the year his only son, Rudy, who died a few days after his birth.
We were in Lombard Street West 10 years ago, 94. Rudy died. Yep, that's correct. Happier then. Snug little room that was. Could see Molly in the bedroom from thumping the stays. White, swish and soft flop her stays made on the bed. Always warm from her, always liked to let herself out. Sitting there after till near 2, taking out her hairpins. Stream of life, happy. That was the night. Was I happier then? Or was that I? Or am I now I? 28 I was, she 23. When we left Lombard Street West, something changed. Never could like it again after Rudy died. Can't bring back time, like holding water in your hand. Would you go back to then? Are you not, you poor little naughty boy? Want to sew on buttons for me? I must answer.
Bloom lunches at Davy Burns and muses about his first kisses with Molly.
Throwing wine on my palate, lingered, swallowed. Crushing in the wine-press grapes of burden, spun sweet skin. Seems to a secret touch telling me memory. Touched my sense, moistened, remembered. Hidden under wild ferns on how below us they sleeping. Sky, no sound, the sky. Pillowed on my coat sheet had her hair, oh wonder. Cool, soft with ointments, her hand touched me, caressed. Her eyes upon me did not turn away. Ravished over her I lay, full lips full open, kissed her mouth. Yum! Softly she gave me in my mouth the sea cake, warm and chewed. Joy, I ate it, joy. Young life, her lips that gave me pouting, soft, warm, sticky, gum jelly lips. Flowers her eyes were, take me, willing eyes. She lay still, no one. High on Ben House rhododendrons, a nanny goat walking sure-footed. Screened under ferns, she laughed, warm-folded. Wildly I lay on her, kissed her, eyes, her lips, her stretched neck, beating, women's breasts full in her blouse of nun's veiling, fat nipples upright. Hot! I tongued her. She kissed me. I was kissed. All yielding, she tossed my hair. Kissed. She kissed me. Me. And me now.
As Bloom walks after lunch, he sees Blazes boiling, a musical tour promoter for whom Molly is a lead singer. Bloom strongly suspects Boylan is about to begin an affair with Molly. He ducks into a museum to avoid coming face to face with Boylan.
Straw hat in sunlight, tan shoes, turned up trousers. Is it? Is it? To the right museum. It is? Almost certain. One look. Wine in my face. Why did I? Too heady. Yes, it is. The walk, not seat. Get on. Didn't see me, perhaps. Light in his eyes. Quick, safe in a minute. Oh, my heart. Look for something. I'm looking for that. Yes, that the trial pockets handkerchief. Freeman, where did I trousers? Potato. Purse. Where? Hurry. Walk quietly. Moment more. My heart. Gate safe.
Scylla and Charybdis. Homer's hero must navigate between the six-headed monster Scylla and the bottomless whirlpool of Charybdis. In Dublin, the perils are intellectual. Stephen Dedalus discusses Shakespeare with the intelligentsia who gather in the librarian's office of the National Library as his skeptical audience.
Daedalus will have it that Hamlet is a ghost story. Like the fat boy in Pickwick, he wants to make our flesh creep.
And what is a ghost? Is one who has faded into impalpability through death, through absence, through change of manners. Elizabethan London lay as far from Stratford as a corrupt Paris lay from virgin Dublin. Who is the ghost from limbo patrum, returning to the world that has forgotten him? Who is King Hamlet?
John Eglinton shifted his spare body, leaning back to judge.
All right, the play begins. A player comes on under the shadow. It is the ghost, the king, a king and no king. And the player is Shakespeare. Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, bidding him list. See, to a son he speaks, the son of his soul, young Hamlet, and to the son of his body, Hamnet Shakespeare, who's died in Stratford, that his namesake may live forever. Look, I am the murdered father, your mother is the guilty queen, and Shakespeare, born Hathaway.
But this prying into the family life of a great man, interesting only to the parish clerk. We have the plays. When we read the poetry of King Lear, what is that to us? How the poet lived, peeping and prying into the green room gossip of the day. The poet's drinking, the poet's debts. We have King Lear, and it is immortal. The world believes that Shakespeare made a mistake, got out of it as quickly as he could.
Bosh, a man of genius makes no mistakes. His errors are volitional, and the portals of discovery.
I was prepared for paradoxes from what Malachi Mulligan told us, but I may as well warn you that if you want to shake my belief that Shakespeare is Hamlet, you have a stern task in front of you.
Look, as we weave and unweave our bodies from day to day, their molecules shuttle to and fro, so does the artist weave and unweave his image. And as the mole on my right breast is where it was when I was born, though all my body's been woven of new stuff time after time, so through the ghost of the unquiet father, the image of the unliving son looks forth. Look, in the intense instant of imagination, when the mind, Shelley says, is a fading coal, that which I was is that which I am, and that which in possibility I may come to be.
A ribald face, solid as a dean's, Buck Mulligan came forward towards the greeting of their smiles.
Hast thou found me, O mine enemy?
A most instructive discussion. Mr. Mulligan, I'll be bound, has his theory too of the play and of Shakespeare. All sides of life must be represented.
Shakespeare? I seem to know the name. To be sure, the chap that writes like Sedge.
The truth is midway. He is the ghost and the prince. He is all in all.
He is. The boy of Act 1 is the mature man of Act 5. All in all. Look, in Cymberley, in Othello, he is bawd and coupled, lover of an ideal or a perversion. Like Jose, he kills the real Carmen. His unremitting intellect is the horn-mad Iago, ceaselessly willing that the Moor in him shall suffer.
Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Oh, word of fear.
Look, if Socrates leave his house today, he will find the sage seated on his doorstep. If Judas go forth tonight, it is to Judas his steps will tend. We walk through ourselves, meeting robbers, ghosts, giants, old men, young men, wives, widows, brothers in love, but always meeting ourselves. Look, the Lord of things as they are, whom the most Roman Catholics call Dio Bioia, hangman God, is doubtless all in all of us, ostler and butcher, and would be bawd and coupled too, if that in the economy of heaven foretold by Hamlet there are no more marriages. I mean, glorified man and androgynous angel being a wife unto himself.
Eureka! Eureka!
You have brought us all this way to show us a French triangle? Do you believe your own theory?
No.
Wandering rocks. The wandering rocks moved unpredictably, crushing any ship. Ulysses avoided passing through them, but in this afternoon in June, many Dubliners wandered the streets, bumping into one another.
I want to pop in alignments to see Scepter's starting price. What's the time by your gold watch and chain?
After 3, who's riding her?
Old Madden. And a game filly she is.
McCoy and Lenehan went up the steps and under Merchant's Arch. A dark-backed figure scanned books on the hawker's cart.
There he is. Leopoldo, or the Bloom is on the rye.
He's dead nuts on sales. He bought a book from an old one in Liffey Street for 2 bob. There were fine plates in it, worth double the money. The stars and the moon and the comets with long tails.
Ha! I'll tell you a damn good one about Comet's tails. There was a long spread out at Glen Creve Formatory, the annual dinner. You know, boiled shirt affair. It was music.
Oh, I know. My missus sang there once.
But wait till I tell you. Bloom and the wife were there.
I know. The year the missus was there.
So wait till I tell you. So we had a midnight lunch too, after all the jollification. And when we sallied forth, it was blue o'clock in the morning. Bloom and Chris Callanan were on one side of the car, and I was with the wife on the other. We started singing glues and duets. Lo, the early beam of morning. She was well primed with a good load of Devahunt's port under her belly band. Every jolt the bloody car gave, I had her bumping up against me. Hell's delights. She has a fine pair, God bless her.
His hands molded ample curves of air. He shut his eyes tight in delight, his body shrinking, and blew a sweet chirp from his lips.
I was tucking the rug under her and settling her bow all the time. Know what I mean? A lad stood at attention anyhow. She's a gamey mare, make no mistake. Bloom was pointing out all the stars and the comets and the heavens, the Chris Callanan and the Jarvey, the Great Bear and Hercules and the Dragon and a whole jing-bang lot. By God, I was lost, so to speak, in the Milky Way. And then she spotted a weedy 1 miles away. And what star is that, Poldy? Says she. By God, she had Bloom cornered. That one is it, says Callanan. Sure, that's what you might only call a pinprick. Ah, by God, he wasn't far wide of the mark. I'm weak. He's a cultured all-round man, Bloom is. He's not one of your common garden. You know, there's a touch of the artist about old Bloom.
Later that afternoon, we find Bloom at a bookstall. Before he left for the day, Molly had told Bloom to find something smutty for her to read. Oh, get another of Paul de Kock's. Nice name he has. Mr. Bloom turned over idly pages of Aristotle's masterpiece. Plates, infants cuddled in a ball in blood-red wombs like livers of slaughtered cows. He glanced at Tales of the Ghetto by Leopold von Sacher-Masoch.
No, she wouldn't like that much. I got her at once, Sweets of Sin, more in her line. Let us see. All the dollar bills her husband gave her were spent in the stores on wondrous gowns and costliest frillies. For him, for Raoul. Oh, yeah, yes, this here, Charlie. Her mouth glued on his in a luscious, voluptuous kiss, while his hands felt for the opulent curves inside her déshabillé. You are late, he spoke hoarsely, eyeing her with a suspicious glare. The beautiful woman threw off her sable-trimmed wrap, displaying her queenly shoulders and heaving on both sides. An imperceptible smile played round her perfect lips as she turned to him calmly. Warmth showered gently over him. Flesh yielded empty, amply amid rumpled clothes. Whites of eyes swooning up, his nostrils arched themselves for prey, melting breast ointments for him, for Raoul. I'll take this one.
Nearby, Stephen Dedalus watched. Through the webbed window, the lapidary's fingers probe a time-dulled chain.
I might find one of my pawn school prizes here. Stefano Dedalo Alumno Optimo. Pullman Ferenti.
Stephen sees his sister Dilly.
My eyes, they say she has.
He took the coverless book from her hand. Chardonnel's French primer.
What do you buy that for? To learn French? It's all right. Hey, mind Maggie doesn't pawn it on you. Suppose all my books are gone. She is drowning. Save her. All against us. She will drown me with her eyes and hair, lank coils of seaweed hair around me, my heart, my soul, salt, green, death, misery, misery.
The siren song seduces sailors to their doom. Homer's hero has himself tied to the mast so he can hear the sirens and not be drawn astray. In this day in Dublin, song abounds. We are in the concert room, a bar in Dublin's Ormond Hotel. This chapter is so filled with strong song that Joyce says in his notes that its organ is the ear, its art is music, and its technique fuga per canone, a carefully structured musical fugue. Our sirens are two barmaids, Miss Douce and Miss Kennedy. Joyce calls them bronze by gold because Miss Douce is tanned from vacation and Miss Kennedy is blonde. They open the scene with merriment as they run to peek through the blinds of the bar to watch a vice-regal cavalcade go past the bar.
Shrill, with deep laughter after, gold after bronze, they urged each to each, peal after peal, ringing in changes, bronze, gold, gold, bronze, shrill, deep, till laughter, after laughter, and then laughed more.
Exhausted and breathless, their shaken heads they laid, braided and pinnacled by glossy coned counter ledge. Oh, saints above, I wished I hadn't laughed so much. I feel all wet.
Oh, Miss Douce, you horrid thing, and flushed yet more goldenly.
When Leopold Bloom enters the bar, it is approaching 4 p.m., a crucial time. Bloom knows 4 p.m. is the time of his wife's appointment to arrange for their tour, and senses the meeting is cover for consummating an affair. Meanwhile, as music pervades, Bloom pursues his amorous letter writing under his fake name, Henry Flower.
2 sheets cream vellum paper, 1 reserve, 2 envelopes, Henry Flower bought.
Are you not happy in your home? Flower to console me. Means something, language of flowers. Was it a daisy? Innocence, that is.
He eyed and saw afar on Essex Bridge a gay hat riding on a jaunting car.
It is. Again. 3rd time. Coincidence?
Blazes Boylan's smart tan shoes creaked on the bar floor where he strode. Lenehan hailed him.
Big, the conquering hero comes.
Between the car and window, warily walking, went Bloom, unconquered hero.
See me he might, not yet. At 4 she. Who said 4?
Fortune! Scepter will win at a catter.
I plunged a bit, winking and drinking. What time is that? 4. Oh, hang on.
Come on, said Blazes Boylan, going. Lenehan gulped to go.
Whoa, hey, come on, Simon, give us a ditty. We heard that piano.
Oh, I couldn't, man.
Nah, go on, blast you. Get it out in bits. Go on, Simon.
Bloom sees Boylan come into the bar, hopes for a moment that he's wrong, that Boylan is about to have an affair with Molly, but then sees him go out again. He bemoans his fate as he listens to the music in the bar.
Bloom heard a ding, a little sound. He's off. Light sob of breath Bloom sighed on the silent blue-hued flowers. Jingling, he's gone. Jingle, here.
Blackbird, I heard in the hawthorn valley. Echo, how sweet the answer. How is that done? All lost now. Mournful he whistled, fall, surrender, lost.
Bloom bent Leopold ear, turning a fringe of doily down under the vase.
Yes, I remember, lovely air, jingle, jaunty, too late. She longed to go, that's why, woman. easy stuff, the sea. Yes, all is lost.
Beautiful air, said Bloom, lost to Leopold.
Glorious tone, yes, still, silly man, would have made oceans of money, wore out his wife, drink, nerves overstrung.
Bloom muses about when he first met Molly.
First night, when I first saw her in Terranor, yellow, black lace she wore. You shared, we to the last, fate after her, fate. Round and round, slow, quick round. Me too. All looked, alt. Down she sat. All ousted looked, lips laughing, yellow knees, singing. Waiting, she sang. I turned her music, full voice of perfume, and what perfume does your lilac trees? Bosom I saw, both full, throat horribly. First I saw. She thanked me. Why did she me? Fate. Spanishy eyes. Under a pear tree alone, patio this hour in old Madrid, one side in shadow, we, luring, alluring.
Bloom turns back to writing to his secret pen pal.
Better writing. Quills in the post office chewed and twisted. Few lines will do. Take out sheet note paper, envelope, unconcerned.
Answering an ad?
Yes.
But Henry Flower wrote, "It will excite me."
Better add postscript. Tell me I want to. No. Oh. Of course, if I didn't, I wouldn't ask. La 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 ree. Trails off there sad in minor. Why minor sad? Sign H. They like sad Taylor. PPS. La 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 ree. I feel so sad today. La ree. So lonely. D.
He blotted quick on pad of Pat, envelope, address. By rows, by slops, by empties, by popped corks, greeting and going, past eyes went Bloom.
Soft Bloom. I feel so lonely.
Cyclops. Homer's Ulysses faces off against the one-eyed giant Cyclops, who kills most of his crew. Bloom must face his fellow Dubliners, because Bloom's father Virage was born a Jew. Though Virage converted to Protestantism and Bloom was baptized, several Dubliners nevertheless vent anti-Semitic spleen on Bloom. Our new narrator is no longer either a neutral observer nor a voice inside Bloom's head, but rather a debt collector who joins with a like-minded Dubliner to go to hear the rantings of the citizen, an angry nationalist.
Oh, we turned into Barney Kiernan's, and there, sure enough, was the citizen, up in the corner, having a great confab with himself and that bloody mangy mongrel, Gary Owen. He waiting for what the sky would drop in the way of drink. So they started talking about capital punishment, and of course, Bloom comes out with the why and the wherefore, and all the codology of all the business. And the old dog, smelling him all the time, I'm told those Jewies as have a sort of queer odour coming off them for dogs about, I don't know what all, deterrent effect, and so forth and so on.
There's one thing it has a deterrent effect on.
Yeah, what's that?
The poor bugger's tool that's being hanged.
Is that so?
God's truth. I heard that from the head warder when they hanged Joe Brady, the Invincible. He told me when they cut him down after the drop, it was standing up in their faces like a poker.
Oh, that can be explained by science. It's only a natural phenomenon, don't you see? Because on account of the...
Oh, so off they started about Irish sports. And of course, Bloom had to have his say too about how violent exercise was bad. I declared to my antimacassar, if you took up a straw from the bloody floor, and if you said to Bloom, do you see that straw? That's a straw. Declare to my aunt, he'd talk about it for an hour and talk steady.
Talk turns to how Blazes Boylan spread false rumours to manipulate the odds on a boxing match, and then to his latest musical enterprise.
I hear Blazes is running a concert tour now up in the north.
Is it?
Oh, yes, that's quite true. Yes, the kind of summer tour, you see, just a holiday.
Mrs. B is the bright particular star, isn't she?
My wife? She's singing, yes. I think it will be a success, too. He's an excellent man to organize. Excellent.
Ho, ho, big ob, says I to myself, says I. Blazes doing the tootle on the flute concert tour. That's the bucko that'll organize her, take my tip.
Lenehan comes in, and the results of the Gold Cup course race. Based on a false rumour, he is convinced Bloom bet on the winner and sneers that Bloom is too cheap to buy a round of drinks with his winnings.
Throw away. At 20 to 1. A rank outsider. I know where Bloom's gone off to. He had a few bob on throwaway, and he's gone to gather in the shackles. Vanwines told me that Bloom gave him the tip. He's the only one in Dublin has it. A dark horse.
He's a bloody dark horse himself.
Where is he? Defrauding widows and orphans.
Isn't that a fact? What I was telling the citizen about Bloom and the Sinn Féin? And after all, why can't a Jew love his country like the next fellow?
Why not, when he's quite sure which country it is?
Is he a Jew, or a Gentile, or a Holy Roman, or a swaddler? Or what the hell is he? We don't want him.
He's a perverted Jew from a place in Hungary.
That's the new Messiah for Ireland.
Well, they're still waiting for their Redeemer.
Yes. And every male that's born, they think it may be their Messiah. And every Jew is in a tall state of excitement, I believe, till he knows if he's a father or a mother.
Oh, by God, you should have seen Bloom before that son of his that died was born.
Do you call that a man?
Well, there were 2 children born anyhow.
And who does he suspect?
Oh, there is many a true word spoken in jest. It'd be an act of God to take hold of a fellow the like of that and throw him in the bloody sea. Justifiable homicide.
A wolf in sheep's clothing, that's what he is. Barrage from Hungary, cursed by God.
His pockets hanging down with gold and silver. Stand us a drink itself. Devil's a sweet fear. There's a Jew for you. All for number 1. Cute as a shithouse rat. And there's Bloom's leaving in a carriage and the citizen yelling after him.
3 cheers for Israel!
And the citizen bawling on his high horse about the Jews and the loafers, calling for a speech, and a loafer with a patch over his eye starts singing, "If the man in the moon was a Jew, Jew, Jew."
Mendelssohn was a Jew, and Karl Marx, and Mercadante, and Spinoza, and the Savior was a Jew, and his father was a Jew. Your God.
Whose God?
Your God was a Jew. Christ was a Jew, like me.
By Jesus, I'll brain that bloody Jewman for using the holy name. By Jesus, I'll crucify him, so I will. Give us that biscuit box here.
God, the devil wouldn't stop him till he got hold of the bloody tin anyhow.
Where is he till I murder him?
And everybody paralyzed with the laughing. God, the citizen made a swipe and let fly. Mercy of God, the sun was in his eyes, or he'd have left him for dead. And all the populace shouting and laughing, and the old tin box clattering along the street.
Nausicaa. When Ulysses is shipwrecked, Nausicaa, daughter of the king and queen, comes to his aid. Leopold Bloom gets a different kind of succor in Joyce's Nausicaa chapter. Our narrator now sees through the eyes of who? Does the young Gertie MacDowell narrate this chapter, imagining herself in love with a stranger who sits and stares at her from afar? Or is this a fantasy, woven solely by Bloom's imagination to excite himself as he ogles her? Tonight we depict the scenes with both Gertie's and Bloom's voices, but we suspect all Gertie's thoughts are really what Bloom imagines to feed his own autoerotic fantasies. Joyce doesn't tell us, so we can imagine it as we like. The end result, you'll see, is undeniable.
The last glow of all too fleeting day lingered lovingly on sea and strand, on the proud promontory of dear old Hoth, guarding as ever the waters of the bay, on weed-grown rocks, and on the quiet church, whence there streamed forth at times upon the stillness the voice of prayer. Many a time and oft the three girlfriends were wont to come there to that favorite nook to have a cozy chat beside the sparkling waves and discuss matters feminine. Gertie MacDowell and Sissy Caffrey and Edie Boardman, with the baby in the push-car, and Tommy and Jackie Caffrey, twin little curly-headed boys.
No, baby. Say what big. Big. I want a drink of water.
Gertie wished to goodness they would take their squalling baby home and not get on her nerves. She gazed out toward the distant sea, and her heart went pit-a-pat.
Yes, it was her that he was looking at. There was meaning in his look. His eyes burned into her as though they would search her through and through, read her very soul. Wonderful eyes they were, but could you trust them? She could see at once by his dark eyes and his pale intellectual face that he was a foreigner. He was in deep mourning, and the story of a haunting sorrow was written on his face. He was looking up so intently, so still.
He saw her kick the ball, and perhaps he could see the bright steel buckles of her shoes if she swung them like they thoughtfully with the toes down.
There was joy in her face because she wanted him, because she felt instinctively that he was like no one else. If he had suffered, more sinned against than sinning, or even if he had himself been a sinner, a wicked man, she cared not. She just yearned to know all, to forgive all, as if she could make him fall in love with her. Then, mayhap, he would embrace her gently, crushing her soft body into him, and love her, his ownest girlie.
She could almost see the swift answering flash of admiration in his eyes that set her tingling in every nerve.
She swung her buckled shoe faster, for her breath caught as she caught the expression in his eyes.
He was eyeing her as a snake eyes its prey.
Her woman's instinct told her that she had raised the devil in him, and at that thought, a burning scarlet swept from throat to brow to the lovely color of her face became a glorious rose.
In a nearby church, they sang the second verse of Tantum Ergo, and Canon O'Hanlon got up again and sensed the Blessed Sacrament and knelt down.
She swung her leg more in and out in time. She felt a kind of sensation rushing all over her. If ever there was an undisguised admiration in a man's passionate gaze, it was there, plain to be seen on that man's face. Gertie fought back a sob that rose to her throat, so slim, so flawless, so beautifully molded. It seemed one an artist might have dreamed of.
The bell rang out from the steeple over the quiet seashore because Canon O'Hanlon was up on the altar, giving the benediction with the Blessed Sacrament in his hands.
She could see far away the lights of the lighthouses so picturesque that she would have loved to do with a box of paint. For Gertie had her dreams that no one knew of. If she saw that magic lure in his eyes, there would have been no holding her back.
She would make the great sacrifice.
Jackie Caffrey called out, "Oh, look, Sissy!" And they all looked. Was it sheet lightning over the trees beside the church, blue and then green and purple?
It's fireworks. Come on, Gertie.
But Gertie had no intention of being at their beck and call. The eyes that were fastened upon her set her pulses tingling. She looked at him a moment, meeting his glance, and a light broke in upon her.
White, hot passion was in that face, and it made her his.
She knew he could be trusted to the death, steadfast, a sterling man, a man of inflexible honor. His hands and face were working, and a tremor went over her. She leaned back far to look up at the fireworks where they were. She caught her knee in her hand, so not to fall back, looking up, and
Only
there was
him
no one to
and
see.
her, when she revealed all her graceful, beautifully shaped legs, like that, supplely soft and delicately rounded, and she seemed to hear the panting of his heart, his hoarse breathing.
Because she knew too about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded. She could almost feel him draw her face to his in that first quick, hot touch of his handsome lips, and she saw a long Roman candle coming up over the trees, up in an intense hush.
They were all breathless with excitement as it went higher and higher, and she had to lean back more and more to look up after it. High, high, and her face was suffused with a divine and entrancing blush from straining back, and you could see her other things too, namesup knickers, the fabric that caresses the skin.
And she let him, and she saw that he saw, and then it went so high, it went out of sight a moment, and she was trembling in her every limb from being bent back so far, and she had a full view high above her knee, where no one ever, not even on a swing or waiting, and she wasn't ashamed.
And he wasn't either, to look in that immodest way, like that, because he couldn't resist the sight of that wondrous revealment. He kept on looking.
And then a rocket sprang and bang shot blind blank, and oh! Then the candle burst, and it was like a sigh of oh! And everyone cried, oh! Oh! In raptures, and it gushed out of it a stream of rain gold hair threads, and they shed, and ah! They were all greeny, dewy stars falling with golden. Oh, so lovely. Oh, so soft, sweet, soft.
Then all melted away dewily in the gray air. All was silent. She glanced at him as she bent forward quickly, a pathetic little glance of piteous protest, of shy reproach under which he colored like a girl.
Leopold Bloom, for it is he, stands silent, with bowed head, before those young, guileless eyes.
What a brute he had been. At it again, a fair, unsullied soul had called to him, and wretch that he was, how had he answered? An utter cad he had been.
Mr. Bloom watched her as she limped away.
Tight boots? Nah, she's lame. Poor girl. Jilted beauty. Glad I didn't know it when she was on show. Hot little devil all the same. I'm glad I didn't do it in the bath this morning over her silly "I will punish you" letter. Funny, my watch stopped at 4:30. Was that just when oh, he did. Into her. She done. Ah!
Mr. Bloom, with careful hand, recomposed his wet shirt.
Oh, Lord, that little limping devil begins to feel cold and clammy, after effect not pleasant. There she is with them down there for the fireworks, my fireworks, up like a rocket, down like a stick. Those girls, those lovely seaside girls. Will she? Watch, see, looked around. She smelt an onion. Darling, I saw all. Lord, give me good all the same. For this relief, much thanks. In hand with things. Tired I feel now. Will I get up? Oh wait. Drained all the manhood out of me, little wretch.
Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Cuckoo!
Oxen of the sun. Bloom waits for news of Mrs. Purefoy's delivery in her third day of labor in the break room of the hospital. The room is filled with medical students. Stephen is there with them. All are drinking and boisterous. Bloom is angry with them, but begins to take a paternal interest in Stephen. When at last Mrs. Purefoy delivers her baby, he departs, and Bloom, avoiding home for fear of finding Blazes Boyle there with Molly, follows them. Circe. In the Odyssey, the goddess Circe changes Ulysses' crew to swine and enchants Ulysses until he breaks her spell and frees his men. In Joyce's Circe, we meet a most astonishing set of people, some real, others phantasmagorical.
The Mabbott Street entrance of Nighttown, for which stretches an uncobbled tram siding set with skeleton tracks, red and green will-o'-the-wisps and danger signals, rows of grimy houses with gaping doors. A woman screams, a child wails, oaths of man roar, mutter, cease. Snakes of river fog creep slowly from drains, clefts, cesspools, arise on all sides, stagnant fumes. Bloom appears, flushed, panting, cramming bread and chocolate into a side pocket. Puffing poldly, blowing, Bloom!
Stitching my side. Why did I run? Ow!
He looks round, darts forward suddenly. Through rising fog, a dragon sandstrewer slews heavily down upon him. The motorman bangs his foot gong.
Bang! Bang! Black! Black! Blood! Red! Blue!
The brake cracks violently. Bloom, raising a policeman's white-gloved hand, blunders stiff-legged out of the track. The motorman, thrown forward, yells as he slides past.
Hey, shit, breeches! Are you doing the hat trick?
Close shade. That cured the stitch. Poor Mama's panacea. Insolent driver! I ought to report him. But light in the head. Brain fog fag. That tired feeling. Too much for me now. Ow.
We now enter a strange realm. Bloom's father, Virage, long dead, appears.
I told you not go with drunken goy ever.
Yeah, I know, Papachi.
What you making down this place? Have you no soul? Are you not my dear son Leopold, who left the house of his father and left the God of his fathers, Abraham and Jacob?
Yeah, I suppose so, Father. All that's left of him.
Next, Molly, equally unreal, appears.
Baldy!
Who? At your service, Molly.
Well, Mrs. Marion, from this out, my dear man, when you speak of me. This poor little hubby cold feet from waiting so long.
Bloom breathes in deep agitation, swallowing gulps of air. Questions, hopes, things to tell her. Excuse, desire, spellbound. On her feet are jeweled toe rings. Her ankles are linked by a slender fetter chain. Beside her a camel waits. Fiercely, she slaps his haunch, scolding him in Moorish.
Baldy, Baldy, you're a poor stick in the mud. Go off and see life. Go and see the wide world.
Leering, Gertie McDowell limps forward.
With all my woodly, worldly goods, I thee and thou, you did that. I hate you.
I? When? You're dreaming. I never saw you.
When you saw all the secrets of my bottom drawer? Dirty married man. I love you for doing that.
She glides away crookedly.
Wild goose chase, this. Disorderly houses. Lord knows where they're gone. What am I following him for? Might have lost my life too with that man-gone wheel track trolley glare juggernaut.
Thick-veiled, a crimson halter round her neck, a copy of the Irish Times in her hand. Martha, Bloom's secret correspondent, appears.
Henry Leopold, clear my name. Breach of promise. My real name is Peggy Griffin. You were me miserable. I'll tell my brother, the Bective Rugger, fallback on you, you heartless flirt.
The first watch intones, the King versus Bloom. Call the woman Driscoll.
Mary Driscoll, scullery maid.
I bear a respectable character, and was 4 months in my last place. I was in a situation, £6 a year, and I had to leave owing to his carryings on. He made a certain suggestion, but I thought more of myself, as poor as I am.
I treated you right. I gave you mementos, smart emerald garters far above your station. Incautiously, I took your part when you were accused of pilfering.
As God is looking down on me, if ever I laid a hand to them oysters. He surprised me in the rear of the premises. He held me, and I was discoloured in 4 places as a result. And he interfered twict with my clothing.
The accused will now make a bogus statement.
Bloom, pleading not guilty and holding a full-blown water lily, begins a long, unintelligible speech. Bloom talks inaudibly. In barrister's grey wig and stuffed gown, J.J. O'Malley speaks. This is no place for indecent levity at the expense of an erring mortal. Such familiarities are the alleged guilty occurrence being quite permitted in my client's native land, the land of the Pharaoh. There have been cases of shipwreck and somnambulism in my client's family. In low corsaged opal ball dress, Mrs. Velverton Barry.
Arrest him, constable. He wrote me an anonymous letter signed James Lovebirch. He said that he had seen my peerless globes as I sat in a box of the Theatre Royal. I deeply inflamed him, he said. He made improper overtures to me to misconduct myself at 4:30 p.m. on the following Thursday Dunsink time. He offered to send me through the post a work of fiction by Monsieur Paul de Kock, entitled The Girl with 3 Pairs of Stays.
So to me, he addressed me in several handwritings with fulsome compliments as a Venus in furs. He urged me to defile the marriage bed at the earliest possible opportunity.
The Honorable Mrs. Mervyn Talboys.
Also me. He implored me to sile his letter in an unspeakable manner, to chastise him as he richly deserves, to bestride and ride him, to give him a most vicious horse whipping.
Me too.
Me too.
Several highly respectable Dublin ladies hold up improper letters received from Bloom.
I will, by the God above me, I'll scourge the pigeon-livered cur as long as I can stand over him. I'll flay him alive.
Here? Again, I love the danger.
Messenger of the Sacred Heart and Evening Telegraph with St. Patrick's Day supplement, containing the new addresses of all the cuckolds in Dublin.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Whereas Leopold Bloom of no fixed abode is a well-known diamond tard, bawd, bigamous, cuckold, and public nuisance to the cities of Dublin, let him be taken to the dock to Mountjoy prison, there to be hanged by the neck.
H. Rumbold, in a blood-colored apron, mounts the block.
Hanging Harry, your majesty, the Mercy Terror. 5 guineas a jugular. Nick or nothing.
No. I was at a funeral.
A beagle lifts his snout, showing the gray face of Paddy Dingham. The beagle has gnawed all. He exhales a putrid, carcass-fed breath. Half of one ear, all the nose, and both thumbs are ghoul-eaten.
It is true. It was my funeral.
You hear?
We return to a temporary semblance of reality as Bloom at last finds the brothel where Stephen and the medical students have gone.
Zoe Higgins, a young whore, trips down the steps and accosts Bloom.
Are you looking for someone? He's inside of this friend. You're not his father, are you?
No.
Has little Mousy any tickles tonight? How's the nuts?
Offside. Curiously, they're on the right. Heavier, I suppose. 1 in a million, my tailor says.
You've a hard canker.
Not likely.
I feel it.
Her hand slides into his left trouser pocket and brings out a hard, black, shriveled potato.
A talisman. A heirloom.
For Zoe. For keeps. For being so nice, eh?
He puts the potato greedily into a pocket. She bites Bloom's ear gently with little gold stop teeth, sending on him a cloying breath of stale garlic. Bloom draws back, mechanically caressing her right bump with a flat, awkward hand.
Have you a swaggerroot?
The mouth can be better engaged than with a cylinder of rank weed.
Go on, make a stump speech out of it.
And off we go into a world of another scene of what? Dream? Hallucination? Fantasy?
Mankind is incorrigible. So Walter Raleigh brought from the New World that potato. My beloved subjects, a new era is about to dawn. I, Bloom, tell you verily it is even now at hand. Yea, on the word of a Bloom, ye shall ere long enter into the golden city, which is to be the new Bloomusalem, the Nova Hibernia of the future.
Plagiarist! Down with Bloom!
Lynch him!
Lynch him!
Roast him! He's as bad as Parnell was.
Several shopkeepers from Upper and Lower Dorset Street throw objects of little or no commercial value. Ham bones, condensed milk tins, unsaleable cabbage, stale bread, sheep's tails, odd pieces of fat.
By heaven, I am guiltless as the unsunned snow. I call on my friend, Dr. Malachi Mulligan, sex specialist, to give medical testimony on my behalf.
Dr. Bloom is bisexually abnormal. He has recently escaped from Dr. Eustace's private asylum for demented gentlemen. He is prematurely bald from self-abuse, perversely idealistic in consequence. I believe him to be more sinned against than sinning. Professor Bloom is a finished example of the new womanly man. I appeal for clemency in the name of the most sacred word our vocal organs have ever been called upon to speak. He's about to have a baby.
General commotion. Women faint.
Oh, I so want to be a mother.
Bloom passes through several walls, climbs Nelson's pillar, hangs from the top ledge by his eyeballs, eats 12 dozen oysters, shells included, heals several sufferers from the king's evil, bids the tide turn back, eclipses the sun by extending his little finger. Ownerless dogs come near him and defile him. Lieutenant Myers of the Dublin Fire Brigade, by general request, sets fire to Bloom. Lamentations.
Thank heaven!
And we return to the reality of the brothel.
Are you coming into the music room to see our new pianola? Come and I'll peel off.
Somebody would be dreadfully jealous if she knew.
Bloom enters the brothel's parlor, where Zoe, Kitty, and Florrie are with Stephen and the medical students.
What went forth to the ends of the world to traverse not itself, God, the Son, Shakespeare, having itself traversed in reality itself, becomes that self, self which itself was ineluctably preconditioned to become. Echo.
What a learned speech, eh?
Bloom's dead father reappears.
My name is Viraj Lepoti of Zambatali. Promiscuous nakedness is much in evidence hereabouts, eh?
Grandpapa, but
Viraj unscrews his head and holds it under his arm.
Oh, the poor little fellow. High legs. They were yellow. He was plump, fat, and heavy, brisk as a snake, but some bloody savage, to graze his white cabbage, he murdered now Flaherty's duck-loving Drake.
The door opens. Bella Cohen, horror mistress, enters.
My word, I am all of a muck sweat.
powerful being, exuberant female. Enormously I desiderate your domination. I am exhausted, abandoned, no more young. I stand, so to speak, with an unposted letter bearing the extra regulation fee before the too late box of the General Post Office of human life.
All things end. Be mine now.
All now? I should not have parted with my talisman.
Bella raised her gown slightly, lifts to the edge of a chair a plump, buck-skinned hoof, silk-socked. Bloom, stiff-legged, aging, bends over her hoof, and with gentle fingers draws out and in her laces.
To be a shoe fitter in Mansfield was my love's young dream. Awaiting your further orders we remain, Empress.
Bella transforms into Bello, his heavy cheek chops sagging. Bloom becomes a woman.
Adorer of the adulterous rump.
Hugeness.
Dung devourer.
Magnificence.
Down. Incline, feet forward. Slide left foot 1 pace back. You will fall. You are falling. On the hands. Down.
With a piercing, epileptic cry, Bloom sinks on all fours, grunting, snuffling, rooting at Bello's feet, then lies, shaming dead. In Mountaineer's green silver-buttoned coat, Bello places his heel on Bloom's neck and grinds it in.
Footstool. Feel my entire weight. Bow, bond slave, before the throne of your despot's glorious heels, so glistening in their proud erectness.
I promise never to disobey.
You little know what's in store for you. Cheek me, I dare you. If you tremble in anticipation of heel discipline to be inflicted in gym costume.
Bloom creeps under the sofa and peers out through the fringe.
She didn't mean it, Mr. Bellows. She'll be good, sir.
Don't be too hard on her, Mr. Bellow. Sure you won't, ma'am, sir.
Come, Ducky dear, I want to have a word with you, darling. Just to administer correction. Just a little heart-to-heart talk, sweetie.
Bloom puts out her timid head.
There's a good girlie now. I only want to correct for you, for your own good, on a soft, safe spot. How's that tender behind? Oh, ever so gently, pet. Begin to get ready.
Don't tear my...
The nose ring. The pliers, the bastinado, the hanging hook. You're in for it this time. Very possibly, I shall have you slaughtered and skewered in my stables and enjoy a slice of you with crisp crackling from the baking tin, basted and baked like a sucking pig with rice and lemon or currant sauce.
Oh, monsters! Cruel one!
Oh, no more blow hot and cold. What you longed for has come to pass. Henceforth, you are unmanned and mine in earnest.
Bloom, broken, closely veiled for the sacrifice, sobs, his face to the earth. Dark-shawled figures of the circumcised, in sackcloth and ashes, stand by the wailing wall. With swaying arms they wail.
Oh, I have been a perfect pig. Enemas, too, I have administered. 1/3 of a pint of a tablespoon of rock salt. Up the fundament. With Hamilton lung syringe, the lady's friend.
Oh, Leopold lost the pin of his drawers.
Didn't know what to do.
To keep it up, to keep it up.
Bello transforms back to Bella. Bloom is himself again. The potato he gave to Zoe is a good luck charm for Bloom that he always carries with him.
Give me back that potato, will you? It is nothing, but still a relic of poor Mama.
Give a thing and take it back. God'll ask you where is that. You'll say you don't know. God'll send you down below.
There is a memory attached to it. I should like to have it.
To have or not to have, that is the question.
Zoe hauls up a reef of her slip, revealing her bare thigh, and unrolls the potato from the top of her stocking.
Those that hide knows where to find.
More unreality intrudes as Blazes Boylan appears upon the scene.
A hackney car trots past. Blazes Boylan and Lenehan sprawl swaying on the side seats. Over the well of the car, Blazes Boylan leans, his boater straw set sideways, a red flower in his mouth.
Hello, Bloom. Mrs. Bloom dressed yet?
Bloom, in Flunky's prune plush coat and knee breeches, buff stockings and powdered wig.
I'm afraid not, sir.
Show me in. I have a little private business with your wife. You understand?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Madame Tweedy is in her bath, sir.
Raoul, darling, come and dry me. I'm in my pelt, only my new hat and a carriage sponge.
Toppin. You can apply your eyes to the keyhole and play with yourself while I just go through her a few times.
Thank you, sir. I will, sir. Show, hide, show, plow her, more, shoot!
Dance. Anybody here for their dance? Clear the table.
Encore.
The couple fall aside. Stephen whirls giddily. Bloom whirls back, eyes closed. He totters. He stops dead. Stephen's mother, emaciated, rises stark through the floor in leper gray with a wreath of faded orange blossoms and a torn bridal veil. Her face worn and noseless, green with grave mold, she fixes her blue circled hollow eye sockets on Stephen and opens her toothless mouth, uttering a silent word. From the top of the tower, Buck Mulligan, in party-colored jester's dress, stands gaping at her.
She's beastly dead. The pity of it.
With the subtle smile of death's madness.
I was once the beautiful May Golding. I am dead.
Oh, who are you? No. What Morgan trick is this?
Stephen's mother comes nearer, breathing upon him softly her breath of wetted ashes.
All must go through it, Stephen. You too, time will come.
They say I killed your mother. Cancer did it, not I. It did destiny.
You sang that song to me. Love's bitter mystery.
Oh, tell me the word, mother, if you know now.
Who saved you the night you jumped into the train at Dalkey with Paddy Lee? Who had pity for you when you were sad among the strangers? Prayer is all powerful. Prayer for the suffering souls in the Ursuline Manual and 40 days indulgence. Repent, Stephen!
Stephen's mother may be dead, but he does indeed see her for Flurry Cross.
His white! Repent of the fire of hell!
No! Break my spirit, all of you if you can!
He lifts his ash plant high with both hands and smashes the chandelier. The gas jet.
Police!
Stephen flies from the room and out of the brothel. Bloom follows.
After them!
It's Bloom! Stop Bloom! Stop it, Bloom!
Stop him on the corner!
Aaron go bra!
Dublin's burning! Oh, fire!
Brimstone fires spring up.
Introibo ad altere diaboli.
Stephen has been knocked cold for a moment by a policeman's blow. Bloom stays by his side till he comes to.
Come along with me now, Stephen, before worse happens.
Against the dark wall, a figure appears slowly. A fairy boy of 11, a changeling, dressed in an Eton suit, holding a book in his hand. He reads from right to left, inaudibly, smiling, kissing the page.
It is Bloom's son, who died 10 years back, when only 11 days old.
Rudy!
Rudy gazes, unseeing, into Bloom's eyes, and goes on reading, kissing, smiling.
Emmaus. In the Odyssey, Ulysses at last reaches his home island, Ithaca, but he must hide in a swineherd's hut before returning to his house to slay the 108 suitors who have been wooing his faithful wife, Penelope. Now, after midnight in Dublin, Bloom and Stephen pause at a cabman's shelter before proceeding to Bloom's home.
Mr. Bloom brushed off Stephen and bucked him up generally in orthodox Samaritan fashion, which he very badly needed.
At what o'clock did you dine?
Sometime yesterday.
Yesterday.
Till he remembered it was already tomorrow.
Friday. You mean it was after 12?
The day before yesterday, then.
Literally astounded at this piece of intelligence, Bloom reflected. It was high time to be retiring for the night. It was altogether too late for the Sandy Cove. He decided that a cup of Epps cocoa and the use of a rug or two, an overcoat doubled into a pillow, at least Stephen would be in safe hands, and as warm as a toast on a trivet.
I propose you just come home with me and talk things over. My diggings are quite close in the vicinity. Wait, I'll just pay this lot.
Yes, that's best.
Ithaca. As Leopold Bloom and Stephen walked from Nighttown to Bloom's home at 7 Eccles Street. They talk of all manner of things.
What did the duumvirate deliberate during their itinerary?
Music, literature, Ireland, Dublin, Paris, friendship, women, prostitution, diet, and the influence of gaslight and the light of art and glow lamps on the growth of adjoining heliotropic trees, exposed corporation emergency dust buckets, the Roman Catholic Church, ecclesiastical celibacy, the Irish nation, Jesuit education, careers, the study of medicine, the past day, and Stephen's collapse.
What proposal did Bloom, diambulist, father of Millie, somnambulist, make to Stephen, noctambulist?
To pass and repose the hours intervening between Thursday, proper, and Friday, normal, on an extemporized cubicle apartment immediately.
Was the proposal of asylum accepted?
Promptly, inexplicably, with amicability, gratefully, it was declined.
Alone, what did Bloom feel?
The cold of interstellar space, thousands of degrees below absolute zero of Fahrenheit, centigrade, or Réaumur, the proximations of the proximate dawn.
What were habitually his final meditations?
Of some one sole unique advertisement to cause passers to stop and wonder, reduced to its simplest and most efficient terms, not exceeding the span of casual vision, and congruous with the velocity of modern life.
What objects relative to Rudolph Bloom, born Virage, did the drawer of the desk contain?
An indistinct daguerreotype of Rudolph Virage and his father Leopold Virage, an ancient Haggadah for Passover, an envelope addressed to my dear son Leopold.
What fractions of phrases did the lecture of those 5 whole words evoke?
Tomorrow will be a week that I received. It is no use, Leopold, to be with your dear mother. That is not more to stand to her. All for me is out. Be kind to Athos, Leopold, my dear son, always of me.
What universal binomial denominations would be Bloom's as entity and non-entity?
Tuned by any or none to none, every man or no man.
Bloom's axe.
Posited the articles of clothing on a chair, inserted his head and arms into the proper apertures of the nightshirt, and entered the bed.
How?
With circumspection, the snake spiraled springs of the mattress being old, the brass quoits. Prudently, as entering a lair, or ambush of lust, or adders. Lightly, the less to disturb, reverently, the bed of conception and of birth, of consumption, of consummation of marriage, and of breach of marriage, of sleep and of death.
What did his limbs, when gradually extended, encounter?
New, clean bed linen, additional odors, the presence of a human form, female, hers, the imprint of a human form, male.
Not his. Some crumbs, some flakes of potted meat, cooked, which he removed.
If he had smiled, why would he have smiled?
To reflect that each one who enters imagines himself to be the first to enter, whereas he is always the last term of a preceding series, even at the first term of a succeeding one. Each imagining himself to be the first, last, and alone, whereas he is neither the first, nor last, nor only, nor alone, in a series originating in and repeating to infinity.
what were his reflections concerning the last member of this series and late occupant of the bed?
Reflections on his vigor, a bounder, corporal proportion, a bill sticker, commercial ability, a bester, impressionability, a boaster.
With what antagonistic sentiments were his subsequent reflections affected?
Envy, jealousy, abnegation, equanimity.
Equanimity?
As natural as any and every natural act. As not so calamitous as a cataclysmic annihilation of the planet in consequence of a collision with a dark sun. As less reprehensible than theft, highway robbery, cruelty to children and animals, obtaining money under false pretenses, usury, intelligence with the king's enemies, criminal assault, manslaughter, willful and premeditated murder.
As more than inevitable, irreparable.
What retribution, if any?
Assassination, never, as two wrongs do not make a right. Annulment, now. Divorce, not now. Exposure by mechanical artifice, automatic bed, or individual testimony, concealed ocular witnesses, not yet.
Then?
He kissed the plump, mellow, yellow, smellow melons of her rump. On each plump, melanous hemisphere, in their mellow, yellow furrow, with obscure, prolonged, provocative, melanous osculation.
Weary.
He rests. He has traveled.
With
Sinbad the sailor, and Tinbad the tailor, and Jimbad the jailer, and Wimbad the whaler, and Nimbad the nailer, and Finbad the failer, and Binbad the baler, and Pinbad the paler, and Minbad the mailer, and Himbad the hailer, and Rimbad the railer, and Dimbad the caler, and Vimbad the quailer, and Limbad the yailer, and Zimbad the failer.
Where?
Penelope. And now, as our adventure comes to its close, Leopold Bloom, home at long last, sleeps. Molly Bloom, our Calypso, our Siren, our Scylla and Charybdis both, and now our Penelope, lies abed and muses. Penelope kept her suitors at bay for more than a decade. Molly tells a very different story. She remembers the details of her sexual encounter with Blazes Boylan that afternoon, and then...
Let me see if I can doze off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I often asked him, atheists, or whatever they call themselves, go and wash the cobbles off themselves first, then they go howling for a priest. And they dying, and why? Why? Because they're afraid of hell on account of their bad conscience. Oh, yes, I know them well. Who was the first person in the universe before there was anybody that made it at all? Who? That they don't know. Ha, neither do I, so there you are. They might as well try to stop the sun from rising tomorrow. The sun shines for you. He said. That day we were lying among the rhododendrons on Hoath Head, in the gray tweed suit and his straw hat. The day I got him to propose to me, yes. First I gave him that bit of seed cake out of my mouth. And it was leap year like now. Yes, 16 years ago. My God. After that long kiss, I near lost my breath. Yes. He said I was a flower of the mountain. Yes. So we are flowers. All a woman's body. Yes. That was the one true thing he said in his life. And the sun shines for you today. Yes, that was why I liked him. Because I saw he understood or felt what a woman is. And I knew I could always get around him. I gave him all the pleasure I could, leading him on until he asked me to say yes, and I wouldn't answer first, only looked out over the sea and the sky, thinking of so many things he didn't know, of Mulvey and Mr. Stanhope's, and Hester, and father. Oh, and old Captain Groves and the sailors playing All Birds Fly and I Say Stoop and washing up dishes, they called it on the pier. And the sentry in front of the governor's house with that big thing around his white helmet, poor devil, half roasted. And the Spanish girls laughing in their shawls with their tall combs. Oh, and auctions in the morning, the Greeks and the Jews and the Arabs and the devil knows who else from all the ends of Europe, and Duke Street and the Fowl Market, oh, clucking outside Larby Sharon's. And the poor donkeys, slipping, half asleep, and the vague fellows in the cloaks, asleep in the shade of the steps, and the big wheels of the carts of the bulls, and the old castle, thousands of years old. Yes. Oh, and those handsome Moors, all in white, and turbans like kings, asking you to sit down in their little bit of a shop. And Rhonda, with the old windows of the posadas, 2 glancing eyes, and a lattice hid for a lover to kiss the iron. And the wine shops, half open at night, and the castanets. And the night we missed the boat at Algeciras, the watchman going about serene with his lamp. And, oh, that awful, deep down torrent, oh. And the sea crimson sometimes like fire, and the glorious sunsets, and the fig trees, and the Almeida gardens. Yes. And all the queer little streets, and the pink and blue and yellow houses, and the rose gardens, and the jessamine, and the geraniums, and the cactuses. Ah, Gibraltar as a girl, where I was a flower of the mountain. Yes. When I put a rose in my hair, like the Andalusian girls used to. Or shall I wear red? Yes. And how he kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well, as well him as another. And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again. Yes. And then he asked me, would I? Yes. To say, yes, my mountain flower. And first I put my arms around him. Yes. And drew him down to me so he could feel my breasts, all perfume. Yes. And his heart was going like mad. And yes, I said, yes, I will. Yes. We, the cast, would like to take this moment to express our amazing appreciation for our director and your host, John Mack, without whom none of this would have been possible. John, your dedication was tremendous. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You guys are just wonderful. What a wonderful show. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, Johnny. Good night.
Good night.
John, good night.
Good job, John.
Good night. Thanks, John.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and
Job,
hearing
Adrian.
us. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Molly.
Molly. Yeah.
It was fine. It was fun. All right. Goodbye.
You guys can come back on. We're in the post show. Hey, Jenny.
You don't have any notes for us, do you?
Yeah, total notes. Total notes. I did nothing but take notes.
I trust some of those extra pauses can be edited out of the video.
We'll see, but it was wonderful. It's a wonderful show. I think maybe people can hear us, so I'm gonna say goodnight.